Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To all my brothers and sisters, welcome to the Roots of Islam channel. What if the very pursuit of proving an ancient truth inadvertently uncovers a hidden revelation that shatters your foundational beliefs? Can scholarly rigor, combined with an unexpected discovery within the pages of a sacred text, lead two formidable minds, pillars of academic and theological establishments, to a faith they once stood against, upending decades of their life's work? Imagine renowned scholars, their careers built upon defending the veracity of sacred scriptures, finding their entire intellectual edifice trembling as a single obscured verse whispers a truth they never expected to hear. Today, we unravel the astonishing, true story of Professor Karl Meinhard and Dr. Louis Brousseau, two distinguished European scientists whose meticulous research into the ancient Bible led them down an unforeseen path to Islam. In the hallowed halls of European academia, Professor Karl Meinhard was a name synonymous with theological scholarship. A venerable figure in his late 50s with distinguished graying hair and an aura of quiet erudition, Karl was a leading German theologian. For decades, his life had been dedicated to the meticulous study and eloquent defense of Christian doctrines. His numerous publications filled university libraries, and his lectures drew aspiring theologians eager to absorb his insights. Karl stood as a bulwark against modern skepticism, diligently refuting criticisms of the Bible and tirelessly preserving what he believed to be the unblemished legacy of the Church. He was, to all who knew him, a man of unshakable faith and uncompromising scholarship, a true pillar of the establishment. Working alongside him, though from a different generation, was Dr. Louis Brousseau, a brilliant young French historian. Louis specialized in paleography and textual criticism, an arcane yet vital field that involved deciphering and analyzing ancient manuscripts. His work focused on understanding how Holy Scriptures were copied, translated, and reinterpreted across centuries. Louis was known for his rigorous, almost forensic approach to historical accuracy. He possessed an unwavering dedication to uncovering truth, even if it led to uncomfortable revelations about the past manipulation of ancient texts. His reputation was built on his critical eye and his refusal to shy away from complexities. No matter how challenging, these two scholarly giants were brought together by a monumental undertaking, the Early Bible Text Tracing Project. Funded by a consortium of prestigious European universities, its ambitious goal was to solidify the historicity and textual integrity of the Bible. They sought to meticulously compare thousands of ancient manuscripts, from fragmentary papyri unearthed from desert sands to lavishly illuminated codices preserved in monastic vaults, tracing the lineage of the biblical text and demonstrating its faithful transmission over millennia. Their days were spent in sterile, climate-controlled archives surrounded by the faint scent of aged parchment. Hour after hour, they would lean over fragile pages, deciphering faded ink, cross-referencing minute variations in script, and meticulously cataloguing every subtle difference between versions. It was painstaking, arduous work driven by an almost sacred commitment to eliminate any lingering doubts about the reliability of the canonical scriptures. Their collective aim was to present an unassailable case for the enduring authenticity of the Bible as it stood in the modern world. They were at the zenith of their careers, their intellectual faculties honed to perfection, ready to reinforce the foundations of their faith. The early months of the project proceeded as expected, a methodical comparison of countless texts yielding predictable, if minor, variations. Karl and Louis worked in a quiet rhythm, their scholarly partnership deepening with each unearthed manuscript. Then came the evening when everything changed. It was late, the archive almost deserted, save for the soft hum of the ventilation system. Louis had stumbled upon a seemingly insignificant manuscript, an obscure Latin codex from a forgotten monastery tucked away in a dusty corner of the vast collection. Its brittle pages, adorned with delicate, almost childlike script, hinted at a forgotten history. As Louis meticulously cross-referenced a particular passage, his eyes widened. He called Karl over, his voice a low, urgent whisper. What they found was not a subtle nuance, not a minor textual variant, but a statement so clear, so profound, that it instantly sent a tremor through their decades of scholarly certainty. It was a verse, unmistakably original to this ancient manuscript that spoke of God's absolute oneness in a manner that starkly contradicted later Trinitarian doctrines. More startlingly, it contained prophetic allusions to a final messenger, a figure whose description, even in that archaic Latin, bore an uncanny resemblance to the prophet Muhammad, PBUH. This verse, carefully obscured or deliberately omitted in later, more standardized versions of the Bible they had studied and defended their entire lives, was a fundamental challenge to the very narrative they were attempting to prove. It was a truth that had been buried not just by time, but by deliberate editorial decisions. The intellectual and spiritual earthquake that followed was shattering. Their initial reaction was disbelief, quickly followed by a furious, almost desperate attempt to disprove their own findings. They re-examined the manuscript, cross-referenced every letter, every stylistic choice, every historical context. But the evidence was undeniable. The verse was authentic to that manuscript, its placement suggesting it was once an integral part of the narrative. Decades of their scholarship, their entire worldview, felt challenged by this single, irrefutable piece of evidence. The emotional toll was immense. They felt a profound sense of betrayal by the very texts they had devoted their lives to. Fear gnawed at them, fear for their careers, for their reputations, for the shattering of their identities, for the potential social and academic suicide of acknowledging such a discovery. They spent lonely nights wrestling with this revelation, unable to share it with anyone, knowing that such a revelation would be met with outrage and dismissal by the very establishment they belonged to. Yet, their core commitment to truth, even a painful one, ultimately prevailed. They did not abandon scholarship, they redirected it. Driven by the undeniable implications of this hidden verse, they began to investigate Islam, not with the intent of refutation, but with the same intellectual rigor and scholarly integrity they applied to ancient manuscripts. Discreetly, almost like spies, they acquired translations of the Quran, hadith collections, and classical Islamic texts. They sequestered themselves in a remote private library, away from prying eyes, immersing themselves in this new ancient world. Their astonishment grew daily as they found consistency, clarity, and a direct affirmation of the very unadulterated monotheism and prophetic messages they had found hinted at in the rediscovered verse. The logic, the spiritual depth, the astonishing absence of contradiction within the Quran stood in stark contrast to the complexities they had wrestled with for so long. It was during this period of intense private study that they discreetly sought out a young Muslim scholar named Michael. Michael was known for his deep knowledge and his patient, gentle approach to explaining Islamic teachings. He became their clandestine guide, a beacon in their tumultuous intellectual and spiritual journey. Michael, unaware of their secret discoveries, answered their myriad intellectual questions, patiently clarifying misconceptions and introducing them not just to the theology of Islam, but to its living practice. He taught them the beauty of Quranic recitation, the tajweed, guiding their esteemed scholarly voices through the melodic cadences of the Arabic. For the first time, these two highly rational men experienced the Quran not just as an intellectual text, but as a direct spiritual balm, a living word that resonated deep within their souls. The humility of these esteemed professors, learning from a younger man driven only by their unquenchable thirst for truth, was a testament to their sincerity. After months of this profound hidden exploration, their convictions solidified. The decision to embrace Islam was not an emotional impulse, but the culmination of rigorous intellectual inquiry and a profound spiritual yearning that could no longer be denied. One quiet afternoon, in a small, unassuming room adjacent to a local mosque, with only Michael and a few trusted witnesses present, Carl and Louis made their declaration. The atmosphere was solemn, hushed, charged with the weight of decades being shed. With trembling voices, yet with an unshakable resolve, they uttered the sacred words of the Shahada. Ashhadu alla ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Tears of liberation streamed down their faces, tears of relief, of a long-lost truth finally found. The quiet takbir of those present resonated softly, echoing the spiritual rebirth. Nothing outwardly changed on them. Their hair remained grey, their scholarly attire the same, but in their hearts their world had been utterly reborn. They were finally home. The extraordinary journey of Professor Karl Meinhard and Dr. Louis Brousseau profoundly challenges the conventional narrative of religious conversion, especially for highly educated individuals from established religious traditions. Their path to Islam was not paved with miracles or overwhelming emotional experiences, but with a rigorous intellectual pursuit that inadvertently unearthed a deeper, unadulterated truth. Their story underscores that truth is universal and possesses an inherent power that can penetrate even the most fortified intellectual and institutional barriers. It forces open doors that seemed impenetrable, demonstrating that sincere inquiry can lead to unexpected spiritual destinations. Their transformation highlights the enduring power of the Quran and authentic Islamic teachings to resonate deeply with intellectually honest seekers, irrespective of their background, pre-existing beliefs, or academic stature. It serves as a powerful testament to the concept of continuous revelation, suggesting that divine truth persists, waiting to be rediscovered despite human attempts at alteration, suppression, or concealment. Karl and Louis' journey reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge, when undertaken with sincerity and an open heart, can lead not only to intellectual enlightenment but to profound spiritual clarity and ultimate peace. In the tapestry of Karl and Louis' transformative journey, several profound and challenging threads of controversial leadership emerge, each defying societal norms and conventional religious expectations. Firstly, Karl and Louis themselves exemplify a deeply controversial form of leadership through their conversion. As highly prominent academics who had dedicated their careers to defending the Christian Bible, their public abandonment of that stance for Islam was seen by many as a profound act of betrayal. Their leadership became one of intellectual defiance and moral courage, prioritizing discovered truth over professional reputation, academic acclaim, and societal acceptance. This is controversial precisely because it discredits the perceived unquestionable authority of certain religious and academic institutions and challenges the ingrained notion of inherited faith. Secondly, the hidden verse itself acts as a controversial leader. This specific textual evidence, unearthed from an ancient manuscript, directly challenged the perceived textual integrity and divine preservation of the very scripture they were studying. This leader is not a person, but an irrefutable piece of evidence, pushing them and potentially others who hear their story to question deeply held beliefs and establish textual narratives. It forces a confrontation with the uncomfortable idea that fundamental truths may have been suppressed or overlooked, making it a controversial catalyst for change. Thirdly, Michael's quiet, knowledgeable guidance embodies a controversial form of leadership. He did not engage in public debate, nor did he use aggressive proselytization techniques. Instead, his patient, informed, and gentle approach, providing clear answers and a living example of Islamic practice, such as teaching recitation, was the true catalyst. This challenges the stereotype of forceful conversion or intellectual bullying, showcasing how sincere character and the inherent beauty of divine words delivered with humility can be the most profoundly effective and, paradoxically, controversial tools for spiritual transformation. Finally, their post-conversion advocacy through establishing an interfaith study center is a highly controversial act of leadership. Instead of receding into obscurity, they chose to continue their scholarly work, but with a radical new mission to openly share their findings and foster open dialogue about Islam. This challenges the notion that converts should remain silent or confine their discussions to insular circles. Their unwavering willingness to stand firm amidst the storm of slander and provide a platform for open, prejudice-free academic and spiritual discourse is a powerful yet controversial form of intellectual and spiritual leadership in the heart of Europe. Their legacy continues to whisper the truth, a truth that broke through centuries of stone and silence. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next